back, hits Fletcher out of the backfield. Touchdown, Miami. 14-0 Miami, the largest deficit Ohio State has faced all season.
Buckeyes are rolling here in this second half. We got a ball game in Arlington.
3rd down and 4. Beck's going to throw, and Daniels has the first down. It's 1st and goal for the Hurricanes. Brown into the end zone. Touchdown, Miami. The Buckeyes' reign is over. There will be a new champion. Miami advances to the semifinal. Their biggest win in 23 years.
You most certainly back, and so are we here on First Take. We welcome in college football analyst Joey Galloway, who joins us from a very wet and rainy Pasadena. Fortunately, he's inside. Indiana and Alabama are going to square off in the Rose Bowl this afternoon. More on that game in a moment. But Joey, let's jump back to New Year's Eve in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, where Miami beats Ohio State 24-14. What does this loss say about the Big Ten for Ohio State?
I don't know that it says much about the Big Ten. It says that Ohio State went into a game against a Miami team that was playing with a lot of confidence. They dominated up front. Those defensive ends, Bain Jr. and Messidor, just absolutely ruined the first half at least, setting their offense up to be in a position to run the ball, be patient. I think that Carson Beck was a guy that we knew had to play well to beat Ohio State, and he went 14 of 18 in the first half, which when you compare that to the week before against Texas A&M, he had 14 completions in the entire game against A&M. And so he played a smart game. They did a nice job with their play calling, and their defense got the stops they needed. You get to the second half, and Miami's ability to run the ball, especially at the end when they were trying to put the game away, was just amazing.
I mean, when you look at that game, Joey, the thing that stands out to me was that Miami felt more talented than Ohio State. And you think about Ohio State's run last year through the college football playoff, it was all about those transfers of those highly recruited guys like Jack Sawyer, who stayed for 4 to 5 years, and then Jeremiah Smith becoming a star and ascending late. It was all about those people sort of showing up for them when you saw the athleticism at Ohio State was different than every other school. I didn't feel that last night. You already mentioned Bain and the defensive ends and the way they attack. Fletcher being able to get downhill, especially late in that game, but also the secondary of Miami outside of the large post or the huge post to Jeremiah Smith. They seemed as athletic or more talented on the outside at the safety positions than Ohio State. And we haven't seen that for Ohio State in the entire season. Even when you think about Texas, there were individual players who you felt flashed for Texas, but their quarterback, Arch Manning, wasn't ready to go. You go to losing a game against Indiana and a team that doesn't have half of the 4 stars that you have, none of the 5 stars that you have, and it felt like the game was fast for Ohio State. So when you think about the Big Ten and the way that they recruit and who decides to go to those schools, I think outside of Ohio State, it is starting to be an extremely lukewarm talent pool for the Big Ten, and it showed to me once they got punched in the mouth last night.
You know what? It's interesting to me. I felt the same way. Coming into the game, we talked about the roster of Ohio State, the guys that would be in the top 15 picks, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And you watch that game, you didn't get that feel. You didn't get the sense of the guys that would be first rounders for Ohio State outside of Jeremiah Smith, who had an amazing game. But I'm saying defensively, some of those guys where you thought those guys have to show up the same way that Messidor did, the same way that Bain Jr. did. It didn't come across in that game. We'll see what happens, RC. You do the NFL, so we'll see what happens when the draft comes up. But if you watched the game last night, you did not get the feel that there were more first-round guys on the Ohio State defense than on the Miami defense.
So, Joe, I think that was the most disappointing part for me is, number one, also looking at Miami and how those players sold out. You look at the wide receivers blocking in the run game and how you had Malachi Toney blocking safeties and C.J. Daniels blocking safeties. And these are guys that are supposed to be, premier perennial picks in the NFL draft coming up in 2026. I just thought from a physical standpoint, Noah and how he dominated as an offensive lineman, that entire offensive line versus that defensive line. When I'm looking at McDonald, I'm looking at McKinley Jackson, also Arvell Reese. All those guys, in my opinion, they played no factor in that ball game last night. So when I'm looking at Miami, they basically line up and said, you know what? We have the better athletes because we are Miami. We have the most physical football team in which they showed. For them to line up Mark Fletcher and run the football effectively like they've done all season long in that matchup versus Ohio State, who have the 5-star to 4-star guys and the guys supposed to be top picks, was disappointing to me. But I also felt like Ryan Day didn't do his quarterback any justice, dropping back and passing the football in the first half when he should have been handing the football off, protecting his quarterback more so than putting him in that situation.
So Ohio State was the 2 seed in this game, and we know that in the 12-team CFP era, teams that have that first-round bye haven't done so well. 4 of those 5 games that we've seen for the last 2 years, have been by double-digit losses, including the one we saw last night. So Joey, is having a top 4 seed a disadvantage in this version of the CFP?
Well, we keep picking the team that has the bye to get a win, and it just hasn't happened yet. We'll find out today if that continues. But honestly, I felt really good about the Ohio State game. I felt really good about Georgia and Texas Tech. I feel good about Indiana. And we're going to find out what happens. It didn't work out for the first 5 teams that have had a bye so far in these 2 seasons. But today could flip everything. But again, when you look at especially the Indiana game out here against Alabama in this weather, this could change everything. It is raining. I couldn't believe how hard it is still raining from yesterday. So we'll see if the weather holds. It could affect the game here. But I expect the teams that have had the bye to get a win. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, first off, I'm finna text Raphael Sadiq because he lied to us. He told us it never rained in Southern California. Y'all out there and it's raining dang cats and dogs. So that's the first part of it. And I think, secondly, when we're talking about the bye, it does feel like we need to wait on today because we have to remember in last year's model of the college football playoff, Boise State and Arizona State were both 2 of the teams that got first-round byes, and you were playing Penn State and Texas, who were more talented teams. So today will truly let us know. But I think the other piece of this is, like, you're dealing with kids, right? And kids are built on energy. Kids are built on what they call riz, right? When they charisma is high. When you are a team that plays in the first round of the playoffs and you get an opportunity to face a non-conference opponent and beat them and play well, that momentum rolls into the next week for you. You can't tell me after watching Miami walk off the field in Texas A&M, they didn't have more confidence in themselves than walked in to Texas A&M, when they walked in to College Station. You can't tell me that last year when I'm watching Notre Dame play against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl that they didn't have more momentum because they got an opportunity to play against Indiana and beat them, see who Jeremiah Smith is, see who this defense can be. And so where it is, I don't know if it's about being able to prepare after the layoff and start a game fast. I do believe that the momentum carried over by very good college football teams into the second round definitely plays a part in them being more ready or readier to play early on in the game.
So Alabama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. Pacific today. We know that the weather's going to be a factor and that Alabama enters this game, Harry, as 7.5-point underdogs. If Kalen DeBoer and the Crimson